everyone, and welcome to the channel. Welcome back to the channel, I should say. Well, hopefully welcome back to the channel, but if you're a first-time viewer, welcome. So, I wanted to make this video. It's kind of a review, kind of a retrospect. I'm not sure where this falls in line, but last week I bought the Alan Wake 2 Deluxe Edition. Waited a whole year for that because, one, I foolishly thought, like previous Remedy games, Alan Wake 2 was going to drastically drop in price, much like Quantum Break did, much like Control did, much like the original Alan Wake did. I bought that on launch, but Alan Wake 2 had staying power. It did not drop in price at all, so I was kind of waiting for a price drop because I don't do digital. I prefer physical games. But then when they announced the Deluxe Edition would be physical and comes with all the DLC and everything like that, plus Alan Wake 1 Remastered, because I haven't played Alan Wake 1 in almost 15 years. Came out in 2010. So I was like, oh, I'll just wait for that so I can get an actual physical copy of it. But I got it last week, and I plowed through the game. If I was still single and no kids, I probably would have beaten it in like 2 days. I was just obsessed with the game. I just wanted to keep progressing in the story because it had this really nice mystery, really nice horror element to it. So I've got a lot of thoughts about it. So I just wanted to kind of share those with you because this was one of those games that really grabbed my imagination, and not too many games do that. Like, I like a game, I'll play through a game and I'll find a game fun and play through it quickly. But this captured my imagination. If I wasn't playing the game, I was like listening to the soundtrack while I was working, while I was editing, driving, things like that, annoying my wife with the old gods of Asgard, some epic metal that she's not very into. But so yeah, I was just really in there. And as a lot of you returning viewers know, this past summer I did my top 30 games of all time, and I said I'd revisit it in like a year or two to update, because I'm sure new games would come out, replace old games, things would shuffle around. Well, shoot, man, and this is recency bias, so I'm not going to update the list right now, but this game could be like a top 5 contender for my favorite games of all time. I really, really liked it. I liked the way the story ended to kind of give way to DLC or future installments down the line within Remedy's new universe that they've kind of created that connects to, like, Control and Alan Wake are connected. Kind of connects to Quantum Break, kind of, but they don't own Quantum Break. That's owned by Microsoft. And they always have hints towards Max Payne, which they made, but Max Payne is owned by Rockstar, so they can't use Max in anything. But they always drop little hints towards Max Payne, which is always fun. So Remedy kind of has their own connected universe going, which I'm all for. I really enjoy that. So I just wanted to kind of talk about the game. And there's not going to be a ton of spoilers in this, but in my excitement, I did write a script, and in the script there's not really any spoilers, but in my excitement I might drop some light spoilers here and there. And if I do decide to go into spoilers, I'll definitely announce it before I go headlong into spoilers. But that's just kind of your minor spoiler warning right now. So if you haven't played the game yet and you're intending on playing it and you want to go in blind, I would come back to this video after you've completed at least most of the game. I'm not going to necessarily spoil the ending per se, but yeah, so if you want to go in with going kind of blind, because that's what I kind of did. I watched the original trailer. I knew I was going to get the game initially, and pretty much going into this game, all I knew about it was you play as Alan Wake and you play as FBI agent Saga Anderson. That is all I knew to it. So that way, everything I experienced, much like the original Alan Wake, was fresh to me. So if that's what you want to do, bookmark this, come back later. So, all right, that kind of spoiler talk out of the way. One thing I do want to touch on real quick. I didn't hear much talk about it, but I did see some talk about this when I was reading some reviews of Dragon Age Veilguard. Like, a lot of people are calling this game woke because the FBI agent you play as, Saga Anderson, she's of Finnish descent but happens to be black. And I guess people had a problem with that. I will touch on this, like her Finnish descent plays into the plot of the game. Again, without doing any spoilers, I can't really tell you how. So that does kind of play into the plot. Her being black, the only thing about her being black that plays into the game is like later on. Shit, I can't even. okay, this is later on in the game, like she has doubts and she's like mutters the line, I'm not going to let some white guy tell me what to do. That's basically the line. But again, nothing, pertaining. So I don't know how or why Remedy made the character the way they did, but I will say the actress who voices Saga, I think she's also the facial, like the body capture, screen video capture, the term, whatever, for it. Melanie Liburd, Liburd. She's fantastic in it. So I don't know if they just like were doing auditions for the character and they casted her in it, or if they, had seen her do something else and like she would be perfect for Saga Anderson and base the character model around her. I don't know, but she's fantastic in it. So her race means literally nothing as far as the enjoyment of the character or anything like that. She just happens to be black. So the game's not woke in any definition of how people like to use woke these days. So she's just the character who happens to be black, and that is it. There's no like race baiting, or even like with her gender, there's no, I think one of the like sheriffs makes a comment like, with the name Saga, I didn't expect her to be a woman or something to that effect. But again, her gender doesn't, like, there's no emphasis on, I'm a boss lady, which I know a lot of people have problems with these days. So there's absolutely none of that. So if you were afraid this game is woke, well, one, get over yourself, but also two, it's not by any of those weird definitions that we have these days for that. The game is a fantastic story, well written, well acted. It's just a lot of fun to play, and you'll find yourself going back and forth playing it. So with that out of the way as well, this game is an intriguing mystery horror story. It really grabs a hold of you and like strings you along. It like drip feeds you plot and things like that. So you're just kind of, you're solving the mystery with Saga, not just through game mechanics in her mind room and things like that, but you are, as you see characters, you interact with characters, you piece together without prompts from the game, like, all right, is this person trustworthy? Is this person a threat to me? Is this person a suspect? Kind of thing like that. And that, for me, that's always like the tell of a good like mystery story, is you are figuring out things along with the main character. Like your brain is working to say like, why is this person doing that? Why is this happening? Kind of thing like that. Why did they act this way in this situation? So that's really cool about the story aspect of the game. There is that cool mystery element to it, but also it's not holding your hand. It's letting you figure things out. Like again, no spoilers, there's a couple characters in the game. At first they're kind of painted to be like very trustworthy. Then you start suspecting them because of things that happen during your investigation. And then you start to learn more about them and their motives and things like that. So again, just a fun mystery that allows you to figure out along with the characters in the game before you're even prompted to start piecing together this mystery on your mystery board in your mind place and things like that. So just, again, some really good storytelling for video games. And honestly, if this were like a miniseries, like a CBS HBO Max miniseries, I definitely would watch and enjoy it. In fact, I'm going to play back through with the new game plus called Final Draft, which you can always tell if I really like a game. I go to the new game plus. I'm gonna simmer and I'm gonna play some of the DLC first because I haven't started that. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play the DLC, also play some other games, and let Alan Wake simmer. I might play the remaster. I'm definitely going to go play Control because I have not played Control. I want to check that out. So, and kind of, because there are some story beats that if you've played Control make more sense. So kind of want to go back and play Control. So I'm going to do a few things before I go into Final Draft, but I'm definitely going back to play the new game plus because I want to relive that story again. But I'm also going to look to see if any YouTube channel has posted just the cinematics and story beats of the game, not like the full, like, I think to beat it without completionist stuff is like 15 hours, and I think it's close to 30 if you're going for a completionist. I think I completed the game in like around 25 hours, like, and I'm about 3/4 of the achievement, so I almost have a completionist, which I'm definitely going to go through in the Final Draft to try to 100% that game. But I do want to see the story beats again because I really like the story. So finding a YouTube video. So if I haven't found one yet, if in the comments you want to say, oh, hey, this channel has, just the clips and everything like that, that'd be appreciated. So, but yeah, the story is just a lot of fun. It hooked me. Given, I'm the Nintendo dad, so I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I'm a baseball coach, I have a full-time job, so I can't play games as much as I want sometimes. But with that saying, like I said, the game kind of hooked me. I was thinking about the game a lot when I wasn't playing it. I was listening to the soundtrack, which is really good. There's two soundtracks. There's like the orchestral, like creepy music, but then there's also like a various artists soundtrack, plus the Old Gods of Asgard, which I meant to look up, but I didn't. I don't know if they're a band like with people from Remedy that they do for the game, or if that's an actual like metal band from Finland that are friends with the studio and they're like, hey, we're going to use your music in the game. Their music is, like I said, kind of like Dragon Force for those Rock Band and Guitar Hero players. It's a very much like this epic adventure metal kind of thing that makes you want to grab a sword and shield and charge into barbaric battles, kind of thing like that. So I was enjoying the soundtrack, and I started listening to it when I wasn't playing the game. And while I was writing the script, I threw the soundtrack on just to keep my mind in that mode. So yeah, so that's just one of those games that just really kind of hooks you in and keeps you wanting to play, and they did a great job of that. And like I said, Starlight and the Lake House DLC, can't wait to start on that. Yeah, and this is one of those games, if I wasn't a dad and a husband, I probably would have beaten it in like 2 days because I would have just been playing it. It would have been one of those things where I was going to like 6-7 hour gameplay sessions just because I just wanted to hear the story. And so I've already done a lot of praise for the story. As far as the gameplay goes, there's nothing revolutionary here. If you've played the original Alan Wake, the dark presence, the bad guys, you gotta flash with your flashlight and then they become solid and you can gun them down. It's very much like similar style to many over-the-shoulder third-person shooting games. The aiming and the shooting, everything feels responsive. Like I never had problem hitting my target. Actually, I got a couple of achievements of pulling off some nice headshots and things like that. So the gameplay is solid. The only gripes I would have about the gameplay, one, there's a couple scenes where the dark presence is chasing you and you got to run and escape, and there's no real direction on where you got to go. And a couple of those times, like, you do have choices on, like, should I go left, should I go right, kind of thing like that. And if you make that wrong choice, it's an insta-death. So that would be one of my complaints, because really it's trial and error to do it. In fact, like one time I died several times because I actually went the right direction the first time and somehow died. Like I have no idea why it triggered the death animation. I think it might have glitched, and so then I was like, okay, I'll go this way. Died. So then I was like, well, there's kind of a third option. Let me try that. Died. So then I looked up a guide and I was like, oh, I did the right thing the first time. Why did I die? And I don't know. So that would be one of my few complaints of the gameplay, is when you get chased and you're running, there's no real direction on what direction you should be going. So it's a bit of a trial and error. And those chases aren't very long, and it literally like resets you back to the start of the chase. So it's not like you're losing like 10, 20, 30 minutes of gameplay. You're literally just losing like probably at most a minute. So it's not that bad, as opposed to some games where it's like trial and error and you die, you go back 30 minutes. So it's got that going for it. So I'm not going to complain too much about it, because I believe there's only 3 sequences, maybe 4. Just off the top of my head, just remembering the whole game, I want to say it's only 3. So it's not like terrible kind of thing like that. As far as like resource management, I wasn't playing on the hardest setting, so maybe when you play on a harder setting, resource management's pretty hard. And I happened to find, like, to expand my bag, found a lot of those by accident. So I had a lot of room to pick up resources and hold on to them. The main thing you want to try to manage is your light sources. You have a flashlight, you can pick up flares, you can pick up gas canisters that you can explode, because the light turns the dark presence solid and you can gun them down, like I said. But also, if you get a flare gun, you can just kill like a group. If there's a bunch together, you shoot one of them with a flare, you can take out like 3 or 4 of them. So you want to manage those. I found ammo for the most part for the different weapons you can get. I found that pretty abundant. Like I think only like twice in the game. Once as Saga, once as Alan, where I was really worried about the amount of ammo and light sources I had left. Where I was pretty worried about it. I was like, oh, I could be in trouble. So you don't have to do too much resource management, at least not on normal or lower. Harder you might, but it also, the way you carry your items is very similar to Resident Evil 4. Does kind of the bag Tetris kind of thing where you have so many slots and like certain guns are big or small, take up things. Certain health items can take up 2 squares, some will take up 1 square. So you do kind of have to manage it that way, and your ammo per square is not unlimited. I never had extra squares for like bullets, but like arrows for the crossbow, you can only carry 4 at a time. Flares, you can only carry 2 in a square at a time. So if you had 4 flares, you took up 2 boxes kind of thing. So there was that kind of resource management, but very Resident Evil like as far as gameplay goes. So if you've played the modern Resident Evil games, then you're going to be familiar with this. I'm sure it's very similar to the remake of Silent Hills. So very similar gameplay. So if you like the third person over the shoulder point of view games, you'll like the gameplay of this. And like I said, aiming, shooting, running, opening, closing things. Never once did I ever have a problem with how the game played. Like never once did like I hit a button to do one thing and it did another because the buttons mapped to too many things. None of that. The gameplay solid for a third person over the shoulder shooter. So gameplay good in my book. Let's see, can I get those thumbs up going up? Can I get the heart going for the video? Nope. Oh, there goes the heart. There we go. That's how I feel about Alan Wake. But like I was saying, like a good book, couldn't put it down. Obligations obviously got in the way. But it did occupy my mind a ton when I wasn't playing it. Like I just couldn't wait to get back to playing it. And really, a game hasn't been like that for me since probably Death Stranding, maybe. That was the last time like where I just kept wanting to play a game. So it's been about a good 4 years since a game was like, oh no, I take that back. Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. I was constantly playing that game, but that was on the Switch, so that made it easier, where I didn't have to play it up here in the man cave. I could be downstairs hanging out with my wife while she was watching her reality dating shows. So, because any of you married guys or serious girlfriend guys know, your girl doesn't necessarily want to talk to you or interact with you. She just wants you to be in the room. And when you want to play on a console, that's difficult. So you get a Switch so you can do that. But a little bit of the plot for the game, like I said, without going into spoilers, you start out the game as Saga Anderson, an FBI agent, with your partner Alex Casey. You're investigating the murder of a former FBI agent Nightingale, and you come to Bright Falls, where the first Alan Wake game took place, and you're kind of investigating his murder. And as you're investigating, you find these manuscript pages from an Alan Wake novel, and everyone starts somewhere like, oh yeah, Alan Wake disappeared 10 years ago, and Alex was like on the case, and so was Nightingale back then, because this was before Saga joined the FBI. So there's kind of a connection back there, and Alex kind of laments that he shares the same name as a detective in Alan Wake's series of books, and he's just like, people come up to me all the time, it's so annoying. So that's kind of where we start the whole plot, and then it thickens. It goes from basically murder mystery to where weird stuff starts happening, and you're trying to find Alan Wake because he starts speaking from the dark place to Saga, and that's kind of the kickoff for it. But I don't want, so I'm not going to do spoilers, more so than the very minor ones that I've already done, because I want, for those of you who want to play it, I want you to go in very blind to it. And I also want to intrigue some of you folks who maybe don't want to play it, to say like, oh, I'm going to seek this game out. And I think when I do Final Draft, I'm gonna stream that, because I know how to play the game, so I don't have to worry about embarrassing myself on stream. So, but yeah, this game, if I did like a proper review, I would do my X-Play style review, where I'd be talking, you'd see game footage, and then it would cut. I would say, give this game a blank out of 10, and then you get a little dialogue from the game, like I said, in the style of X-Play. And here comes Bowie. Hey Bowie, I'm up here, bud. But I'm gonna Bowie's coming up to see me right as I was wrapping up the review. So good timing, buddy. So like I said, I'm wrapping up the review here. Out of a 10 score, I'm giving Alan Wake a 9. Like, it's not a perfect game, so it doesn't get a 10, but it gets a 9. You know what? 9.5. It is one of the best games I've played in a while, and because I bought the Deluxe Edition in 2024, and it came out in 2024, even though it's a 2023 game, I'm going to say it's a front runner for Game of the Year for me. So we will have to see. So as always, thank you for watching. I'm going to hang out with Bowie now. Him and I are going to play wrestling figures. So take care and have a great rest of your day. Bye.